Millions abuse prescription drugs. In fact, the National Institute on Drug Abuse says 52 million people have used prescription drugs when they don't need it at least once in their lifetimes. Here to talk about an event coming up to help combat that large number, Tom Lenox with the Drug Enforcement Administration. Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, tell me, how big of an issue, a problem is this in San Diego?
It continues to be a significant issue for law enforcement here in San Diego, as well as obviously the medical community, the pharmacy community, trying to address this problem. So it is one of our top priorities at DEA right now.
And now young people, are they a susceptible group to get involved in this?
Unfortunately they are, and that is one of the significant reasons why it is a priority for us, because we know that as early as middle school and definitely in high school that they're abusing a whole variety of prescription drugs that are very dangerous. They can overdose on, end up in the hospital, and worst case scenario is end up dying from them.
Are there certain types of drugs that are more common to be abused than others?
The two most common that we're seeing right now are the painkillers, which are oxycodone, hydrocodone, tramadol. They're typically the most popular. And then we also see a huge problem with some of the benzodiazepines, like an alprazolam, or brand name is Xanax. And those, unfortunately, people are overdosing from. They don't think they're as dangerous as the painkillers, but they truly are. And we do see a huge problem with the youth, especially abusing those drugs.
And then when it comes to the youth, do they see these drugs as less harmful than other drugs? Is that one of the common myths? How do they get hooked on this?
Well, based on surveys that we've seen over the years, a lot of them feel that, hey, they are from a pharmacy, they are from a doctor, they have them right there in their house, they see other people taking these drugs, so they don't view them as harmful as the illegal substances that are purchased out on the street, such as a methamphetamine or heroin or cocaine.
But they are just as harmful.
But they are just as harmful and just as deadly.
And let's talk about this day coming up, Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. What is the goal?
So back in 2010, DEA, recognizing that this problem was really getting out of hand, and one of the concerns was the fact that there were too many unused and expired drugs that were in people's homes, and we needed to come up with a program to help those people dispose of them in a very safe manner. So partnering with our local law enforcement, county law enforcement, state and federal law enforcement agencies, as well as a whole host of community partners, we started the National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, and DEA, as well as the other law enforcement agencies, have collection sites throughout San Diego County where people can bring their drugs, no questions asked, drop them off. We'll take them and we'll safely dispose of them. And
why can't you just throw them down the toilet or just toss them in the trash? That no one will get access to it.
Well, that's true, but we don't want to harm the environment. So when you start flushing them down the toilet, they're getting into the water system, the sewer system, and we don't want them going into the ground, contaminating the ground, contaminating other water supplies. We don't want them being thrown in the trash, end up going into a landfill, where again, when they start degrading and they go into the ground and into the system, they're affecting our environment. So the best scenario is to turn them over to law enforcement, and we'll safely dispose of them where they won't get out into the environment.
And how much do you actually collect during these events? Because they're typically held twice a year.
That's correct. We hold one in the spring, typically the last weekend in April, and then one in the fall, typically the last weekend in September. So on average, we bring in about 9,500 pounds per event. So we're bringing in anywhere from about 18,000 to 20,000 pounds per year.
Is that about what you hope to collect during these events?
I think that's what we've been on par for the last several events. So I think, again, coming up on April 30th, we hope to hit that same mark or even exceed it. As word spreads and more people know that these events are coming, hopefully they're going to be cleaning out their homes, and we'll be collecting greater amounts.
And talk to me about the actual event. Where can people go, the date, the time, all of that?
So DEA has, and our law enforcement partners and community partners, we have 41 sites this April. It's on April 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If they go to dea.gov, www.dea.gov, they can go to the drug disposal icon on our webpage, and that will take them to where they can put in their zip code, and it will show the sites nearest to their home.
And all it takes is a minute.
It takes about a minute to find out what's closest to you. You drive over there, it's a drive-through, you drop them off, no questions asked, and we'll take them from you.
And one final question here. If someone is found abusing drugs, or we talked about a recent case where a doctor was involved in this, what kind of ramifications could they face?
Well, there's a number of issues. What we really would like to see, if there's somebody out there who feels they've developed an addiction to these pills, first thing we want is go get into treatment. Take the opportunity now, reach out for help, get treatment, because again, that's our goal, is to get people healthy. But if they choose not to do that, at some point in time, what's going to happen is they're going to need to continue to get access to the drugs. That eventually results in them committing crimes to get the drugs, whether it's defrauding the doctor, committing prescription fraud, stealing prescriptions, altering prescriptions. Those are all felonies under the state law as well as under federal law, and they could be subject to arrest.
Got it. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being here. April 30th. We'll remind everybody about that event.
Thank you very much.
I'm Melissa Masiha with this week's San Diego Newsmakers for 10 News.